1300 KGLO.
Your hometown news station is AM 1300 KGLO. Streaming live online as well at KGLOAM.com. And we are going to talk about the Mason City Community Theater. Ray Carver is joining us, the director of an upcoming production. And in fact, it's Neil Simon's Lost in Yonkers. And Ray, welcome to the KGLO microphones.
Oh, well, thank you for having me here today.
Just talk a little bit about, well, maybe first, your involvement in the community theater.
Well, my wife and I used to live in Mason City back before 2000, and I was on the board of the community theater, and I was part of helping to develop the new building after they left the library, and then directed the first show that was done in the new theater many years ago. After the 2000, my wife and I moved to the East Coast, and were there for about 24 years, and then came back here to Mason City to retire. And I've gotten involved with the Mason City Community Theater again, directing and doing some design of several shows. I guess this is my fifth show since I got back here in Mason City, and I think it's going to be a good one too.
Well, you talk about design, a lot of people always think about, a director and then, the actors on stage as well. But you just talk a little bit about design, what that all involves.
Well, this particular play takes place in the second-story apartment of the, I'm trying to remember, Kernitz family in Yonkers, New York in 1942. And so I had to create a space that looked like an apartment, but also had that feeling of the 1940s. And so I ended up stenciling a wallpaper on about 32 feet of wall, all by hand, to have that feeling. And it's a design that's based on an actual design from the late 1930s. And then we created a window that looks out onto the street. But as the audience is entering the theater, they can see the outside of the window and look inside the apartment, and they see the brick front and all that. So it takes quite a bit of coming up with an idea that reflects what goes on in the play, and then also gives a feeling of what happened, the time period the play is happening in.
How long did it take to get that done?
Well, I'm still working on
it.
We finished up our last show the beginning of May, and I moved into the theater to start putting up the set, and I've been spending my time there morning and in the evening for rehearsals.
So you've been putting a lot of work in.
Yeah.
So, like I said, and I always like to point that out about things like design and everything, because once again, people will come in to watch, a production, and they will just not necessarily think about that. They may enjoy what they see, but people always deserve a lot of credit in my mind on those types of things too, because they're and the other people that are behind the scenes as well, they're kind of forgotten. They definitely should get a lot of credit.
Yeah, and we've always got opportunities for volunteers to get involved backstage over at the Mason City Community Theater.
Let's talk about dive into Lost in Yonkers. Neil Simon, obviously, very famous 20th century playwright. And what made why was this chosen as the next production? Or behind it, yeah.
Last year I did The Good Doctor by Neil Simon.
Okay.
And Neil Simon's probably the most popular writer that we have at the Mason City Community Theater. So when I was approached about directing a show for this season, I looked at Neil Simon shows. And I picked up one that I hadn't read for many, many years, Lost in Yonkers. And I said, wow, this really is just such a fun show, because you've got a little drama, you've got some comedy, and it just ties everything together. And it's the show that Neil Simon won the Pulitzer Prize for.
Right.
Wonderful piece.
if people are not familiar with the show, maybe, can you talk a little bit more about it?
Well, most people, when you think of grandma, you think of as a warm, loving individual. But this is about a grandmother who does not have a kind-hearted bone in her body. She is mean to her kids, to her grandkids. She was an German immigrant, and ended up having a terrible life in Germany. And she decided that I am going to survive. And when I have kids, I will teach them how to survive. And she's very much, you will do these things my way or else. And her family that she raised, they all have some little idiosyncrasies from living with grandma. And now her two grandsons are having to come live with her because their father has taken a job selling scrap metal during World War II and has to travel the country.
Sure.
So what do you do with your two kids? Well, let's see if family can take care of them. And it's through those people's eyes, the two boys' eyes, that we see the play. And you get to see how the family has affected each other and how they could affect the new generations of that family.
Ray, maybe talk about some of the people that we'll see on the stage.
Well, we've got a couple of former professionals with Brian Reeder and Ashley LaPointe. Then we've got some new people coming with us. Jacille Savra and Pamela Alcourt and Lilith Alden. Those are all people that are new to the stage. And they've always wanted to do something up on stage and finally said, well, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and audition for that show. And so they showed up and they were good and we cast them.
Maybe talk, that brings up a good point. You talked about, needing volunteers at times, but you obviously talk about if someone is maybe had some theater in their past, or maybe they've been interested in maybe performing, what they should do to help to join the community theater.
Well, we had one person in the cast, Willow Bartholomew, who ended up helping to volunteer doing stage management. And through that broke her into acting with the community theater. Also, we have auditions that are posted on our website. Okay. Now, granted, this summer, there will probably not be any postings for auditions until probably July or August, but we've got a whole new season of plays starting in September.
Let's talk about dates and times for this production.
Well, the show opens Friday night the 5th and plays Friday and Saturday this week at 7 p.m. And then on June 7th, we have a 2 p.m. matinee. And then the following weekend, the 12th and 13th, we'll have performances at 7 p.m. And then the 14th, we close with a matinee. And you can get tickets at the community theater at www.masonsmccommunitytheater.com, or you can call for tickets at 641-424-6424. And you can always stop in at the box office from 2 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and get tickets. And also, 1 hour before the show, tickets are available.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
I hope you come and spend a little time at Yonkers, not the store, but the New York City.
Well,
this weekend.
If you spend time at Yonkers, you aren't going to find much anymore. So.
No, you're not.
Well, Ray, we appreciate you coming and joining us, and we always like to hear about the community theater here on KGLO. So,
thank you very much, Rob.
All righty. Ray Carver, the director of Neil Simon's Lost at Yonkers at the Mason City Community Theater, here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO.